had two players combined for 90 pressures with Keir Thomas, Jermaine Johnson. They were just completely dominant off the edge. But, they brought in some new guys. They brought in Jared Verse, but they're also giving an opportunity to a lot of young guys, right, who were behind Keir and Jermaine to get more snaps, to get more pass rush snaps. But, how big will that drop off be? And are you worried about them losing these two guys?
So I've been very impressed since watching spring with the defensive ends. And on the defensive line, I think is, that's the strongest, at least the interior is going to be the strongest unit going into this season for FSU. But defensive end is definitely one of the biggest question marks going into the spring. I wanted to see how Derrick McLendon looked now that he gets the outright opportunity to be a starter there on that defensive end spot. And he's worked on his body. I mean, if you guys were to see him in person, he's really, really trimmed down from what he used to look like wearing that number 55 when he was in an interior defensive line. He's been working on his body, and I think he's continuing to do that. He's thinned up and he's gotten a lot faster. He's always been kind of maybe make the play on the field and be a leader type, rather show you than talk. And that's something that, Florida State would like to have after losing a guy like Keir Thomas on that side. And you had Jermaine Johnson. I'll be honest, I think Jared Verse might end up being the star for Florida State's defense this upcoming season. I know we talked very highly about that interior D-line. You've got the safeties too with Jamie, and I know you're excited about Jamie and definitely Akeem Dent. But from what we saw and how quickly Jared Verse came in to impact that entire offensive line and what he was doing to some of those players, which was absolutely silliness and shouldn't be fair for how young he is and how, short of a time he's been in Florida State garnet and gold uniform. That just kind of goes to show me that I think fans are going to absolutely love what they see from number 5. And if he can fit anywhere close to kind of what a Keir or Jermaine Johnson did last year, that would be great, because I'd give you one of them. You don't know if you have another one on the other side at the tandem like you had with Thomas and Jermaine Johnson last year. But I was already pretty high on Jared Verse coming in. There was a reason why there was so many schools immediately blowing up his phone with texts, calls, emails. And, Tennessee really pushing hard there at the end to grab him, but ends up picking Florida State. He's got a lot of pressure on him, and he talked about that with us on one of our shows, but he said he loves it, and he expects that. And that was something interesting. He could have answered and said, I know there's pressure on me, but, I'm just hoping I can get to that level. He said, I'm ready for it. I like that pressure. And it went to show, I already had a feeling he kind of had a competitive drive to him. But then when we saw him in person and the trash talker, the blowing up plays and the run game, and definitely the pass rush of having back-to-back sacks and red zone drills and team. We haven't even seen him play a snap here in Tallahassee at FSU. But if you want to talk a monster from the spring, that was number 5, Jared Verse, and I like that. I don't like though behind Jared Verse. I mean, I think there's potential there for Pat Payton, but after that, I'm kind of a little worrisome. We saw little things from Byron Turner. I want to see more from him, but I do think it kind of sucks though that you lost Quashon Fuller depth-wise. I do think that really, really did stink. Obviously, the staff really liked to have McLendon over Quashon Fuller, who ended up going to Maryland and transferring, which will most likely get a lot of playing time, if not being the starter over there. But after that, you're kind of limiting yourself if one of those guys were to go down. I like what we saw from Pat Payton. I thought he was one of the most improved from his freshman year with his body type and his physicality and what we were hearing during the scrimmages. But right now, I think you've got one of those spots. You've got another Keir or Jermaine, and I think that's Jared Verse. I want to see a little bit more from Derrick McLendon, but I think people kind of sleep on him a little bit. Yeah, I just think kind of Verse took over our eyes a little bit just because how dominant he was. But you can't sleep on McLendon on the other side either.